Please allow me to start with statistics. I like research, and so I like figures because I think they tell us quite a bit of a story. On poverty, the overall national poverty headcount rate, that is the proportion of poor individuals in Kenya, is currently at 36.1%. And this is according to the Kenya Integrated Budget Household Survey of the Kenyan National Bureau of Statistics that was released last year, the 2015-2016. Sorry, that was released in 2018. The findings show that the total population of poor individuals declined from 16.6 million, that is a decade before, to 16.4. So just a slight decline 10 years later, when the survey was done. But there's also something else that the survey established. It was about the inequality. Because what the survey found was that across the 47 counties in Kenya, the overall headcount poverty, that is proportion of poor individuals, widely ranges from as low as 16.7% in the Nairobi City County to as high as 79.4% in Turkana. Imagine, we are in the same country. You can see that disparity. And some of the poorest, it goes on and on to mention some of the poorest counties, including Turkana, ranging in the 70s, Mandera, Samburu, Busia, and all that. And then did you know that in terms of food security, food poverty stands at 32%. And that translates to about 14.5 million. And did you know that in 6 counties across the country, more than half of their population are actually food poor? Did you know that the majority of Kenyans, standing at 73.4%, they actually access health services in public health facilities? In terms of diaspora remittances, and you'll understand later why I'm picking very specific indicators, that is the money that is sent from foreign land to Kenya by those who are away, who largely comprise the middle class. It is recognized as an important contributor to the country's growth and development. So the CBK, that is the Central Bank of Kenya, conducts a survey of remittances, that is inflows, every month. And when I looked it up, I realized that, for instance, for 2019, it was a staggering over 295 million US dollars per month. That is the highest. You can see how heavy the middle class, and this is what I'm driving at, the contribution that the middle class are having to the country. In terms of dependency ratio, which then measures the burden which the productive part of the population shoulders to support the economically independent, an increase in the indicator would impact negatively on financial and social welfare of the people. So in that aspect of dependency ratio, the survey by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics revealed that the total dependency ratio in the country is at a staggering 81.6%. Very high. And it also showed that there is also, in terms of, there is the dimension of the urban-rural, so that in the rural areas, the dependency ratio is even higher at 96.7%. Now, the youth, when it comes to unemployment, the most recent job surveys from the Kenya Statistics Agency, but based on that, 2015-2016 basic labor force report, which was released in March of 2018, it is estimated that there were 1.2 million unemployed Kenyans, and that is age between 15 to 34, again, the youth and all that. And if you go on and on to look at the World Bank data, says that Kenya's unemployment rate maintained at 9.31% in December of 2019, from the previous number of 19.31, the same, in December 2018. The World Bank notes that then Kenya would have to create at least 900,000 jobs annually between now and 2025 to be able to absorb the high number of youths joining the job market. Now, those are some of the statistics I wanted to share with you. Let's keep them packing. What is good governance? Good governance for me, my presentation is as simple as Yvonne wanted it to be, and I hope I'll be able to answer that question. Governance to me, I think about the Article 10 principles in our Constitution of Kenya 2010. Good governance is about participation of the people. We are talking about the equity. We are talking about transparency, accountability, the rule of law, social justice. We are talking about non-discrimination, governance where human rights are observed, good governance, sustainable development. And because I'm in the human rights, I'll just mention something about that. Quite a number of my friends and families, when they hear I work for the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, sometimes they tell me jokingly, na sasa mambo human rights, kwani unakula human rights? And in jest. And I'll tell you, yes, categorically, yes, you eat, it is about life and death. Human rights, we are here because we've had some breakfast. That is the right to food. I'm here because I hope I don't look rained on like a chicken, because I slept, I had a roof over my head, right to housing. I'm here because somebody did not kill me as I came here, the right to life. So when we talk of human rights, I think we often imagine, those activists, let them make noise, those are Western concepts not applicable to, idealistic. No, these are things that concern you and me. When you go to the hospital, we are talking about the right to health. So these are the issues that human rights is about. And as middle class, we should not shy away from actually pushing this agenda. When I looked up at the meaning of the middle class, for me, I just packaged everything into the characteristics of who actually the middle class are. And this is what I put up. My observation is that as a middle class, we are the taxpayers, largely. We contribute heavily to the economy. We are the middle to high-level managers. We are the educators. We are the lecturers, like my colleague. We sit in corporate boards as well. We sit in the decision-making tables. We approve for those who are in public. I don't know, Yvonne, assistant manager, whether you do approve, but we also sometimes have people who approve requisitions in procurement. Some of us live in the diaspora. We are the people who send the remittances that I mentioned to you about. We are the ones who fly to and from the country, and often we participate in high-level forums at regional and international level. And for us in the human rights, right now, there's a lot of interactions with the regional and international fora. And next week, Kenya will be reviewed under the Universal Periodic Review. So then we have spaces with which, these are the spaces with which we can make differences. We sit in boards of management in our village schools. We are, sometimes we are, when we join social admin groups, we are elected as admin because we are the elites in those. We write blogs. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm just trying to show the magnitude or the significant spaces that we have to be able to make a difference. So the role of the middle class in fighting corruption. Corruption in Kenya is a big deal, and it presents the greatest threat to good governance in the country. According to Kenya Corruption Index by the Transparency International, in the year 2018, the country obtained a score of 27 out of 100, a decline from 28 points scored in 2017. Kenya was ranked at position 144 out of 180 countries and territories listed in the CPI. Ladies and gentlemen, we are not doing well in terms of corruption. And in terms of the amount of money lost, I found this reference that we lose at least $1 trillion every year in corruption. You can imagine how much would that do? The roads that the Mwiki, and I know that road because I use it very well, you know, would do in terms of infrastructure, in terms of healthcare services and everything. As a middle class, when we get spaces, we have not utilized them to be able to bring the necessary change. We have become the masters of compromise and impunity. We don't even want to pay the price, any price for that matter. We are comfortable in our own spaces as long as nobody rocks the boat. As long as my children, my immediate family, my wife, they are okay, they can go to school, I am fine. In corruption, we have conspired and we are even conduits, that is the middle class, facilitators and enablers of corruption. You know, yesterday I was in one of the embassies trying to apply for a visa, and in one of the chit chats with one of the security guards, I just mentioned, it was an easy conversation. I just mentioned how nice it would be to have a house here around, the Livy suburbs. And she asked me, do you know how much that costs? Unajua nyumba hapa ni pesa ngapi? Unless ukwe politician. And, it hit me just how, accessing power has become a space not to serve, not an opportunity to serve and make the difference, but actually time to amass wealth. Ladies and gentlemen, we have become masters of indifference and denial. That's what I mentioned. So as long as I'm okay, then everything else should be okay. I don't care about whatever happens. I'll give a very quick personal experience because I want to be as simple as well as possible. Some time back, I remember there is when I'm going to CBD, to park and all that. Those who have driven through, how sometimes stressful it can be to get parking. And so when you find a space you really appreciate. And not 1, 2, or 3 occasions have I encountered a group of, middle-aged boys. And so, I went and got a nice parking space. And I was quick to pull out my phone to just be able to pay the online. Initially, I think it was star, 217. I don't know now what is the current number. And I remember the moment I took out my phone, I just had a knock on my window, and I lowered. The man told me what? Wachana na hiyo itakuwa ni mimi na wewe. Wachana na simu. In other words, don't pay. Let us discuss sideways. What the gentleman wanted, and the team of around 3 other gentlemen, was that, you don't have to pay. Just give me something. And I refused. I actually refused. And I remember them asking me, unafikiria watoto wangu watakula nini? Basi toa gari hapa. And I told them, this is public parking. and I'm not going to remove my car. And, I walked off, and I finished paying, and I walked off. But one thing that was hitting my mind as I did was, I will find flat tires. I will find flat tires on that one. But I told myself that, you know what, it is fine, but I wasn't just about to do that. And it's one another occasion in different street and all that. And I remember when I asked my friend, when I shared with some of my people about my experience, because I was so frustrated, like, what is happening? Why all this? And then they told me, one of them actually mentioned that, labda ungempatia mia, itaenda tu, itakuliwa bado, kwa na city, na county government. But, I told them, you know what, I have done my part, and I was hoping that somebody else at the county government would do their part and just refuse to be a conduit of corruption. So, ladies and gentlemen, I guess what I'm saying simply is that in our own small spaces, in our everyday interactions, we can actually make a personal conviction not to do it. Personal conviction means that we'll take a responsibility, that is in the little and big spaces that we occupy, and accept to reject corruption in all its forms. It is not going to be easy, but it's a vow which all of us need to take. Corruption erodes the moral fiber of our society, and we each have a role to restore the society to its ethical foundations. Number two, I think in terms of networks, corruption thrives through networks. You've heard of cartels, committed to benefiting from the vice by all means necessary. It cannot be eradicated without networks equally committed to dismantling corruption. As Roosevelt, I think the 26th president of the US, said, it is a mere matter of common sense to recognize that the state, the community, the citizens acting together can do a number of things better than if they were left to individual action. So the networks need to be equally committed to the cause and take a long view of the fight, because the truth is, it will not be won tomorrow. The war is not going to be won tomorrow. Then thirdly, and these have been, I think I've mentioned, personal responsibility and being willing to pay the price. Conviction is worthless. Yes, we all feel, we sometimes even go to church and mosques. I always say Sunday is the best time to drive because everybody is very courteous. We are from church. We've gotten replenishment, I think. But after that, then what do we do with that? Conviction is worthless unless it is converted into conduct. And those are words of Thomas, a Scottish philosopher as well. So not just saying I'm committed to the cause as a good ideal, e.g. willing to go to court through the rigors of trial, rather than take the shortcut in the system. And we've been guilty of this. The middle class have been guilty of this. And we are very happy to wish away and say, you know what, Petronella, the system is corrupt. Even if I do my part and things are too bad, what can I possibly do? Well, do your bit. Do your bit. Then we have to be willing to do that sacrifice and be able to just experience a little discomfort, because what that means is that you will not jump the queue. It means that your application is going to take longer. When you go to the land registries, and some of us are lawyers, sometimes how difficult it is, and has been. People still want you to pay something in order to have your thing processed. Birth certificates, our parents have to take, ages because you are not facilitating. It means then you have to accept that yours will have to take longer in the queue. It means that you'll accept, if you're a business person, that you'll take a little longer to reach those, colossal profits like the rest of the corrupt. But it's just a matter of time. I think that and if as a middle class, then we do not do anything. At such a time as this, there are all signs And there are signs that help will come elsewhere. And those who know, I have actually extrapolated from one of the holy books. If we do not do our role, help somehow one day will come.